Well, let's begin by tell me who each of you are. Let's start at this end.
I'm Jay, friend of the band.
Hi, I'm Taylor Suarez, I play guitar.
Cosmo solo, I sing.
Sean Mooney, I play bass.
Kevin Dredd, the guitar.
Mark Ante, drums.
Great. So I must say you look fantastic. So I'm looking tired. Is everybody gonna dress nice or just him?
Just him.
No,
He's
just
the
me.
one who dresses nice.
I see. So how are y'all doing today?
Good. Yeah, doing pretty good.
Awesome.
Ready to play a show.
Excited for Halloween coming up?
Of
Yeah,
course.
Yeah, of course. We're a horror.
For October.
Right. I've noticed as y'all only been around for 2 years, I guess.
If even.
Yeah,
If even. Maybe a little bit, yes. Less than 2 years now.
Yeah, we started in 2010. Yeah, started in 2010.
But you've achieved a lot. You've been in magazines, did the tour in Cuba, and that's really amazing. How have y'all done so much in so little time?
We work really hard. Like this isn't like some sort of like a hobby. You know, like we kind of like live and breathe She's Still Dead. This is like something that we're really passionate about. And yeah, it's like we wake up and it's like She's Still Dead. Like what can we do today to like, further our, I guess career with the band.
And you have the one full-length album.
Yeah.
Came out a while back, so do you have plans for another yet?
Yeah, actually, with Jay, we finished recording our new record with Jay. It's going to be called Keeper of the Witch. And we did it at Piety Street Recording Studios in New Orleans. And we're going to put it out probably in December of this year, 2012. Like, we're really happy with how it came out.
Drums on tape.
Drums on tape, yeah. Like, we did a lot of tracks on tape.
Everything on tape.
Everything on tape, yeah.
Except the vocals.
Yeah,
Live.
we really wanted to like do stuff on tape.
You need to tell people about that. You played that live as a band. Most bands can't or don't do that.
Yeah, we recorded everything live in the studio. So, like, we didn't do like like the tracking, like individual tracking, like, oh, let's do the drums here and the guitars there. Like, we did everything as a band right
Put
there.
it all in one day.
Yeah, all in one day, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is pretty unusual these days. And Jay, you're a pretty prolific guy. I've heard your name many times over the years. How did you get to know these guys?
It's a small town, Just met them from around. This is the kind of town where you know everybody when you've been here for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? But I was like, classic thrash metal, like horror movies, everything that's good about life. I like these guys. You know what I mean? So we get along really well, and vintage hardcore, like we're fans of all the same stuff. So it's cool.
So and it's Halloween time, perfect time to talk about it. What are your favorite horror movies and why? I want the gory details, literally.
I like Texas Chainsaw.
The
classics.
first
The old
one.
ones, of course.
I'm a really big fan of like the Romero Living Dead movies, like Night of the Living Dead, the original, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. I'm a really big like zombie horror fanatic, so that's why I like those movies a lot. I like the classics.
I'm a big fan of Pet Cemetery. When it came out, I wasn't supposed to go see it, but I did. And it scared the shit out of me as a little kid. So, still to this day, there's certain scenes in it that are pretty frightening.
I love the 50s and 60s classic hammer. So, when actors actually acted.
Right.
Horror movies actually had stories, and it wasn't just about effects. I probably own most of the Hammer movies that have come out, at least in the original run of Hammer.
How about you?
There's I think it's like Swedish or Finnish or something. It's called Let the Right One In.
That's a good movie.
Great.
It's about like some vampire. I think it's Swedish. That's a really good movie, and I enjoy reading subtitles, so that kind of stuff.
Great. And how about you? You're a good friend, so you must like horror movies.
I love, like Cosmo, I love the classic Hammer movies, and I think The Exorcist is still the scariest movie I've ever seen. Especially, girls always, especially if you see it when you're young and you identify with Regan. Like almost every woman I know is completely freaked out by The Exorcist. And I was never allowed to see it when I was a kid, and I never understood why until I saw it like years later. I was like, oh Jesus, I'd be a basket case if I would have seen this when I was like 8 or whatever.
Getting away from horror movies, you did tour Cuba,
Yes.
which is great. How many shows did you play there?
We ended up, it was supposed to be a 6-day tour, but we ended up only playing 5 because we ran into Hurricane Isaac. So that
And we had a show scheduled down Hoagland,
yeah.
which is way down near Guantanamo.
Like, yeah, all the way on the east side of the island.
Yeah.
And the storm hit
Get there for
that area the day we were supposed to play there, so the gig got canceled.
It actually flooded. So
But it's okay because it was here when we got there.
Yeah. And then we flew back here and met it again.
we ran
You gotta understand, we're in Cuba for 2 weeks. And
No
when you're,
internet.
when you're American, you
No
can't use your
phone.
phone there and there's no internet. We had no idea how bad it was. So we get to Tampa and the Republican National Convention is in the airport. So we're surrounded by Republicans with signs and buttons. So it's already really weird. And then, you know, we go to get our connecting flight. We're like, no, the New Orleans airport is closed. There are no flights. And so I'm like, okay, guys, like, maybe we should, you know, get a motel here and see what happens. And they're like, no, we're going. And so, you know, like, they weren't having it at all. And so we rented a couple cars and drove into the hurricane when everybody else was evacuating.
Yeah.
Like, you know, wake up in Havana, Cuba, and then all of a sudden you're on a road trip in Florida. And in the middle of the night we get here and there's a curfew. Cop cars everywhere. We actually made it. Trees all over the road. Like, it was insane.
What was Cuba like?
Like being in the 1950s and there's no food and people have nothing.
nothing.
And people are incredibly poor. You know, there's no. You know, it's like you're there and
Far
the-
poorer than anything
Yeah.
people in America can even fathom.
You know, like,
even
everybody's
the people
like-
that are on government assistance, it's nothing like Cuba. They truly have nothing.
Cuba's good for you know, reaffirming, you know, like maintaining your perspective about how you live. You know, and being grateful for what you have.
Like the most beautiful, amazing architecture that you can even imagine, but it's all crumbling because there's no money to take care of it.
Like resilient and like strong people too. I mean, like to keep, you know, a good example is like to keep those vintage cars running for, you know, however many years now. Like they're old like 1950s Chevys driving around, like, and you know they still keep them running. So I mean, the people there, like, they make do with what they have, even though they have very little. So
Well, I mean, there are metal, like we played with metal bands there, and it's like, how can there be metal bands when there's no stores with guitars in them? Like, people have to really do a lot of work and planning to even get a guitar sent or smuggled into the country somehow, so that
You
can use it,
stream.
you know.
yeah, strings.
Yeah, the bands kept on asking us for picks and strings and stuff because they don't have that. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
So you played with Cuban bands?
Yeah, every night.
every city there was a different Cuban band.
And a lot of the shows were in like housing projects. Like, it would be a huge ring of you know, really shitty like you know, Stalinist housing projects, and then a park with a concrete band shell. And so we would be playing there in the middle of the night, and there'd be like just 1,000 people would just creep out of the projects and into the park. Like, it was nuts. You know?
No bathrooms.
No bathroom.
No such thing as porta potties.
No, not very much toilet paper either.
Just make do.
Maybe that'll bring the experience home for me.
But I mean, like I mean, it was really, it felt good
Ain't no
playing
place
for them
to be
because, like, you know,
Mardi Gras Day.
they're very passionate about like metal. You know, like they all really love American metal bands, and you know, they all had like, you know, Metallica T-shirts on, and Slayer T-shirts and stuff like that. So they were really excited to see us, and it felt really good to be able to like finally be able to bring, you know, American metal to them, because they're never ever going to be able to see bands like Metallica. They're not going to be able to see Slayer and like all these bands that we can go see. Like we take a lot of shit for granted, and you know, it really put things in perspective going to play for these people, because
They were very grateful.
they were very grateful.
They'd never seen an American band before, so they were extremely grateful.
Well, because you're the first American band to ever tour.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And how did you set up this tour?
I petitioned the U.S. government for close to a year. I went to Cuba in 2011 with Jay. I had family there, and we decided to like just figure out a way to get into Cuba and travel and visit my family. And while we were there, we went to our underground rock show, and we found out that there was like this metal scene there that was actually huge. And so I asked him, I was like, man, wouldn't it be cool if like we can get Cheese Leather playing Cuba? And when I got back to New Orleans after we came back from Cuba, I looked up Brutal Fest, which is like the international metal festival that they bring in bands from all over the world, but they've never brought in an American band for obvious reasons in the embargo. So I contacted the producers for Brutal Fest in Cuba, and they said they would love to have us. We just need to figure out a way to get there. So that's when I started this project that went on for almost close to a year, where I had to petition the U.S. State Department and the Department of Treasury and the Office of Foreign Assets Control. And 6 months into the project, trying to get us approved to go play in Cuba, get licensed, they denied us. They were like, no, there's no reason why you should want to go to Cuba. We have an embargo with them. Basically, they just gave me a big middle finger and they said, fuck you. So that's when I got really persistent, because I was like, there's no reason why, we shouldn't be able to bring our music to them. We had 2 weeks before the first show, and I finally gave them one last call, and I was like, look, if you're gonna deny us again, just please let me know, because we still have to book flights. We have to figure out how to get 7 Americans there, and the first show is in 2 weeks. So they said, yeah, we'll figure it out. And that day, they gave me a call back, and they're like, okay, you guys are licensed to go. So they sent us an official license in the mail, and we were left with 2 weeks scrambling, running around with our heads cut off, trying to figure out a way to get guitars, cymbals, us there, So but we worked it out. It was a lot of hard work, but it meant a lot to be able to do it, to make it happen.
So, what else did they tell you? When people, I'm sure, came up to talk to y'all, what did they seem like? Did they just seem amazed, happy, grateful?
Yeah,
tell you really
all
bad,
those things.
sad
All of those
stories?
things, yeah. We heard a lot of sad stories. Yeah, you're right. They were telling us about how they can't get the bare necessities, and if you're in a band, they couldn't get drumsticks, or they couldn't get guitar strings and stuff.
And you have to be careful about what you talk about in public.
Yeah.
Because
Total fear of the police state.
Yeah, and
You
there
have
are
to be really discreet.
Everything.
undercover cops everywhere.
No open drug
along
use.
with-
Zero.
along with-
Well, these guys almost got too. These guys almost got arrested at a hotel.
Yeah,
Because
Mark,
people next to us got their
Mark
cell phones.
and Cosmo got detained by the police on suspicion of stealing a cell phone at one of the hotels that we stayed at. So that really put a damper on the schedule. We were stuck in Pinar del Rio for 3 hours. And yeah, they took the report on a typewriter that predated the revolution. It's everything was it was crazy.
Was that the same day we hit the horse?
Yes! That was
Yeah.
the same day that we hit the horse with the tour bus.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well the horse didn't get hit.
The buggy that he was dragging got hit.
Oh.
He was
That was
pulling
like a sugar
buggy.
cane.
Everyone was okay.
Yeah.
Everyone made
Horse
it out
was fine.
safely. The horse was fine, but the sugarcane cart was obliterated.
Yeah. The cart was not okay.
Yeah, it was a pretty rough tour just because they don't have infrastructure there. We did blowouts in the bus and we hit
No speed
horses
limits.
and it was you get to the hotel and there would be no power or running water. It was crazy.
Well, do you have any big plans for more American touring this year or next?
Yeah, we're getting close to the end of this year, but definitely in 2013 we're going to be hitting hard.
I'm gonna look into South by Southwest. Hopefully.
Yeah, we're South by Southwest.
We got a documentary that hopefully should be shown there.
Yeah, we're working on a documentary now about the Cuban tour. We have a lot of video and pictures from there, so we're gonna make it into a documentary and hopefully show it at South by Southwest. So we're trying to play there, and also we're gonna really hit it hard and do a couple of U.S. tours. And we made a lot of friends in Cuba with the other bands. The other bands that played were from Europe, and they said that you're more than welcome to come play in Europe. So hopefully we can make that happen as well. Tonight we're playing with Valiant 4 in New Orleans, and we're looking forward to that. Those guys are awesome. And
Viva la Revolution.
and yeah, we got the new record coming out. Keeper of the Witch. It's coming out this year. Later this year. And we're stoked about that.
And thanks for coming to interview us.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.